So, ladies and gentlemen, we already have a late start here. Let's just get down to it. Please put your hands together for the stars of BioShock Infinite. Mr. Troy Baker, Miss Courtnee Draper. Here they come. Booker and Elizabeth. That's your seat. You sit there. That's your seat. You sit there.
It would have been an interesting panel if we had just not known the entire time.
You would have looked like such horse's ass.
Oh my God! Look at these people.
So many people came to see you, and a little bit of Courtnee.
I like it.
Real quick, show of hands. Who hasn't beaten BioShock Infinite? Why? Why would you come to this panel then? This isn't one of those
I want to
games.
know how it ends.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. But
Yeah, we're gonna get in trouble if we talk about things.
no, that they should have known better.
Yeah,
They've had plenty of time to play the game.
For a year.
I don't want any hate tweets.
It's been out. The DLC's been out.
Yeah.
There's Let's Plays of it.
Oh, hush you.
You had your chance. When did you buy your MomoCon tickets? You knew you were coming to this.
Yeah. So spoiler. We're gonna talk about everything. Everything.
So
Hi,
let's
Greg.
start at ground zero.
Okay.
Troy and Courtney.
Yes.
How different
That's
is your
awesome.
life now
Right?
based on when you started working on BioShock Infinite?
Oh my God.
Well, 3 years, so definitely a lot of changes.
We've covered a lot of ground. Zero.
Back then, I was just this guy singing music,
Well,
doing
yeah.
voices. I don't know.
I mean, Courtney. I mean, my God, you. I think you have had the biggest arc. It kind of is, to me, is interesting because Elizabeth really has the biggest arc in the game.
Yeah.
There's more revealed about Booker, I guess, but it's interesting how much, to me at least, your character paralleled you starting off, because you started off like wide-eyed and, oh, I don't know anything about games, and then by the end of it, I mean, look where you're at. So I'd like to hear more about that. Would you guys like to hear more about that? Okay.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I was lucky to have a good teacher in Troy. He definitely took me under his wing, and we met on the plane to go to our callback. And I was like, can you tell me about video games as a whole? He's like, the whole industry? I'm like, like, please tell me what's going on. And then just the way he talked about it just blew my mind. I just really fell in love with the industry. And working on a game like that for 3 years, you get to know everybody that you're working with so intimately. And it's really cool. And I feel, I don't know, like this whole world has been blown open. And that's pretty exciting. I think it is like really paralleling Liz. Mm-hmm. Except I didn't get, spoiler alert, I didn't get vengeful and go on a killing spree yet. But
There's that.
But yeah, it's really crazy. I can't believe how much knowledge I've accrued just about video games and, you know, meeting all the fans in the last 3 years. It's been such a crazy ride. It's awesome.
I was just like, this is my first game. I was like, well, you started off pretty good out of the gate.
Was that step one to explain to her how big the BioShock
Yeah.
franchise
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, cool. So you're not going to play Soldier A and Florp Returns, because that's how most of us cut our teeth. But it was, yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, it was a very intense process. I mean, just, if nothing else, just the download that we got every time from what Fever Dream Ken had at that specific moment of the stuff that we were going to record. You know, we were learning about Columbia as we were going along, and there was a lot of stuff that Ken held back. So when I had done a few, you know, games before, but this was definitely, like, that whole time period was just this exponential, you know, rocket ship, because we had Last of Us that was going, and we also had BioShock at the same time, and we were going back and forth. So it was interesting to have knowledge of two really, you know, even from the very beginning, everybody knew they were Game of the Year contenders, and to kind of see how they were paralleling and how different they were, even through there. So I mean, where I'm at now is in some ways light years away from where I started, just because there's so much that has happened since then. And I've learned more about games in the process of development, and it was really cool that Ken was so open to the process with both of us,
Yeah,
that he
that's
really
awesome.
took us in, and we got to see the dirty underbelly of making a game, and it's not pretty. It's men
Scary.
died. There were people lost in the trenches, you know, and it's just. But I think anytime you make something that's really good, there's always casualties, whether it be, you know, people leave or you know, developer shuts down, or, you know, different things. But it's it's hard, and anything that is good requires that much effort.
I think it's just risk taking. I think that's what we always knew the whole time, that we were taking such a big risk with creating these characters and whether they would even work. And I mean, it just Elizabeth from a technical standpoint, whether she would even work and whether people would fall in love with and feel connected to our characters. And I think that's one of the things when we first started talking about the franchise and the way that Short was explaining it, I realized from a very early on point that Irrational was trying to do something very different and groundbreaking, and that is why I fell in love with the project. And I really appreciated that they took risks, because I think without that there's not as much reward, and the game would not be nearly as in my personal opinion phenomenal as it was. Phenom.
So then, are you anxious to do another game, Courtney? I mean,
oh yeah.
But
Yeah,
it'll never be the same. It'll never be the same. You came out here, you hit a grand slam. The rest are just gonna be ground roll doubles. These are baseball puns.
I still need Troy's advice all the time, so that's still the same. 'Cause but yeah, I would love to do more games. Yeah, and then the fact that games are becoming so hugely narrative driven is really making me fall in love even more with the industry. So yeah, if I was given the opportunity, I would love to do that, and I'm trying to make that happen for sure.
So Troy,
sure, man.
You mentioned a fever dream for
Yeah.
Ken and coming in. At what point did you guys just have to get, this guy is insane, but I depend on him now for a paycheck, and I will do, I mean, like, did he come in all the time? I mean, Ken's awesome, don't get me wrong, but even just talking to him on a normal friend basis,
He's
I
a
can't
whirling
imagine working with
dervish.
him.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much energy that he has, and it's truly, his mind is operating on a completely different level. And this was his brainchild, and this was something that was incredibly personal to him. And I don't want to speak for him, but I mean, this is just stuff that he shared with us. I mean, BioShock was such a watershed moment for games, and it's still, as soon as it came out, people knew that this was going to be one of those games that, for decades afterwards, people were still going to talk about it. Like Shadow of the Colossus and stuff like that. They're
One guy's played Shadow of the Colossus.
but there are those games that people still talk about, and the developers that we have in place today are looking back to those games and going, I remember how I felt when I first played this game. I want to make a game like that, but using the tools and the skill sets that we have now. And I think BioShock is another game like that for this generation of developers. And are you watching YouTube over there? What's happening?
What's happened?
There-
Hey, security on the side.
It's really cool.
What
but,
are you guys watching?
The only reason why I ask is because I'm so ADD that I'm going,
I keep hearing it too.
Oh, there's people outside. They're kicking him out now.
well, we're going to shoot him. No, come on in. Okay. You want some candy? Candy?
Piece of candy?
But, you can see Ken's mind working, and it's like he was so passionate about what he was talking. He's like, okay, so this is the point where it has this, and everything had its own individual conceit. Everything had its own idea that it was the coolest thing ever. And you always have to sacrifice a darling in everything that you do. At some point, you have to go, I'm going to have to lay this on the altar because I simply can't do this. We can't have everything in this game that we originally conceived come to fruition. Everything can't be executed. And that became the joke. The reason why it's called Infinite is because that's how long it was going to be delayed for. Just in BioShock indefinitely. But yeah, I mean, it's you sit and marvel at when he comes up with this idea, and you can see there's a term that we came up with that backstory is masturbatory. Backstory only exists from a narrative standpoint for the character that's presenting it. You don't need to know the backstory. There's so much backstory that you don't know about Booker that you didn't need to know about. It's only information for me, and sometimes I didn't even need that. I was like, I don't want to know that because it's just going to taint the performance. And it was very Stanislavski, very Meisner about his process and how, in some ways, like Woody Allen. Woody Allen doesn't give you, if you're in his movie, which if you are, can I have your number?
Yes.
There's like one person back there. Yeah, I'm in a Woody Allen film.
Shout out to the Colossus guy. I'm in a Woody Allen movie. I don't know why you sound like that too. You should get that checked out.
He's making a Muppet film.
I had surgery. Don't make fun of me. It's terrible. What am I doing? There's something wrong with me.
We are committed to this bit.
Yeah. He's going to walk out going, that's not cool, man. Wait a minute, it's kind of cool.
I'm burning all my BioShock toys.
Hello, ladies. Oh, you're that guy from the panel. Yeah.
What were you saying about being ADD again?
I don't know. Yeah, it's just like shiny. I mean, I've got lights in my face, too. I'm like...
I don't even remember what you were answering.
But Woody Allen, if you're in his movie, he doesn't give you the full script. He doesn't even give you the like on your sides. It will just have your lines. And his reasoning behind that is like, I want you to listen. And if you know your lines, I mean, it could literally, your lines will be like, oh, that's interesting. Yes, 4 o'clock. Okay, we'll have to do that. And you have no idea what the other person is saying. So you really have to listen. So there was a lot of listening that had to take place, and it was such an interesting way that we were doing it because it was really like taking full performance capture, but only doing us with 2 mics. And Courtney and I, with the very few exceptions, were always like facing each other, and I was more isolated so that we could get, just for technical purposes. But we really were engaged with each other, and Ken was in there with us too. And anybody that can go, okay, this isn't working, what do we need to do? And look to his team and go, what would you do? What do you feel the booker needs to say here? Well, you know, Liz, what are you thinking? And that was our process. And that's a very unique, very beautiful thing that I think she and I both are incredibly grateful that we got to be a part of.
So then, Courtney, when you get pulled into this crazy structure, you meet Troy Baker, and then you have to stare at him all the time and talk to him. Do you guys hit it off immediately? Are you best friends, BFFs?
I think we did hit it off immediately.
We did. And
we had struggles.
Well, it's just like anything else. When you get in the trenches,
It's just any relationship. Any relationship,
you're going to end up fighting. You're going to end up like disagreeing, and you're going to end up like, And we were talking about this last night when we were here. It's like it's so crazy how, I mean, it's like brother sister, this fraternal, platonic, you know. This.
It's that.
You know, and
sometimes
it's this, and sometimes it's like, yay, but a lot of times it's like this. And we got to laugh about, you know, the last 3 years of, I mean, we're pouring, I hate the peas on this, we were pouring so much into this that it's invariably, when you start pulling back, you know, and exposing your soul, there's a cost to that. And I love the fact that we argued. I love the fact that we disagreed on things because, A, we were so invested in it, and B, that meant that we were really being honest. Because if you have that friend that you've never fought with, you guys aren't really friends. You know what I mean? Like, you want that friend that maybe you've thrown blows at each other, punches.
For the record, we've never thrown blows at each other.
Right. You would whoop my.
I'm picturing it right now. That's great. No, but I think we did have a really strong connection right off the bat, and you know, we were both very passionate people and really interested in making the best game, and yeah, I think that's important to just hash those things out, and yeah, we can
or use it even.
Oh yeah, for sure, and look back and say, wow, like we were just talking at dinner and saying, man, like. Sometimes I'm like, I can't believe we ever, like, argue. We're like, yeah. And cut to, like, 10 minutes later, but...
So are those relationships hard to leave behind? Like, I feel like, you know, you guys go and you work on this thing in secret where you can't tell anybody about it. You can't tweet about it. You have this, like, private connection thing. You're working on these characters, fleshing out this story. You're doing all this stuff, and then it ends. And then it seems like, okay, now there's PR tours for Gamescom or this or MomoCon, but then... It
was devastating for me to leave BioShock behind. I was sobbing like a baby. I remember my last recording session, and we were Skyping in, and I don't think you were there, but it was for the DLC, and I was they had flown in a gift for me. It was the Undertow collectible, and they had sent it to me from Boston to the studio that I was recording at, and I opened it in front of them, and I was like, like just like bawling, and I was so devastated. I was so embarrassed. But yeah, it's devastating because you work on something and you have so much love for the project, and I don't know, it was one of those really magical experiences, and I really was afraid that I would never feel that much love for our project again. And yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's a beautiful thing when you experience that, but it's like a good relationship ending, and you're like, man, I hope I can feel that again someday.
Well, yeah, I mean, you give your life over to something for so long, and you're in it for so long that it kind of becomes, there's a lot of your identity that goes into it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And there's also just so much energy that you find this void on the other side of it when it's so quiet that the silence is deafening. And you just long for, even when you're screaming and it's hard and or you're arguing or you're disagreeing with Ken or whatever, you miss that. You miss all of it. And then you realize that you didn't leave it all behind. It's still with you. We're still here.
Yeah.
It's still, the game is I'm still getting messages from people saying, I just platinumed it. I just finished it. I'm playing a DLC. It's something that we set out into the world, and it resonated within a culture, and that's not something that you can leave behind. It's going to follow you.
So, Courtney, were you prepared for that? Like, I mean, like Troy on the plane, he got his hair slicked back and a scarf on, probably, and he's telling you about BioShock.
It was February. He definitely had a scarf on.
He's telling you about the franchise. He's telling you about
Some
video
people
games.
still look at flying as an event.
Were you prepared to see Elizabeth's at cons and fan art and all this stuff? And
I mean, I remember people telling me, like,
You
this
didn't believe
game, I didn't believe it. They were like, this game is going to be so big. And I just didn't know what that really meant, I guess. I mean, it's one of those things where people can tell you, this is going to happen, or this is what it feels like when you become a mother, or I don't know, whatever. This is what it feels like when you go to prom, and you're like, oh, okay, but you don't really know what that's going to be like. And I think we were all so scared. I was really scared that what if Elizabeth doesn't work, and what if people don't fall in love with her, and, you know, all those things. So what just happened to the lights? You guys okay?
Now let's make love.
It's all in my imagination.
I don't know if Elizabeth's going to work.
Okay, thank you so much.
power it all down. Shut it down.
Yeah, so I remember the first time, I just saw a group of, a huge BioShock group. I don't know if they're here. And I lost my mind. I saw them from above, like one of the floors above, and I looked down.
She was flying.
Yeah.
Oh, these are the cosplay you took a photo with.
Yes, the cosplay.
Oh,
And there was...
come to a fashion show. Come walk by.
Yeah.
Show everyone your wares.
Amazing.
People.
There was a little sister, and an Andrew Ryan, and a Big Daddy, and I think a Motorized Patriot, and the
Family reunion.
Lutesses. It was amazing, and I just totally geeked out, because every time I see someone dressing as someone from one of the BioShock games, I just still lose my mind. I had no idea that that people were going to love her so much, and it's so cool. I just really love it.
I remember seeing a husband and wife, which was weird, husband and wife, Booker and Elizabeth, and then they had a baby girl that was baby Liz.
Oh.
It was incredible, and she was
had-
like, we would love for you to hold. I was like, oh, no. No.
You didn't
Do
drop
you
her,
remember
did you?
how hard it was for me to let her go the first time?
Yeah, seriously.
No! So this does not end well for the child, is what I'm telling you.
And she lost a pinky in it.
But anyway, yeah, it was like great, and she's like, yay! But it was so great to. I mean, there's a difference between like, I really like that movie, and then people going, I'm going to go this far with it, and kind of like even teach their kids about it. You know, whenever we see, it's crazy because I still think that I'm a kid. And I realize that I am. Oh my God! Like when my dad was my age, I was like graduating high school, I think, pretty much. So it's like,
Wow.
and I'm like, I don't know how to do anything. But me and that guy have the same voice when I talk that way.
I noticed you
Hey, you speak my language.
literally Troy Baker, the man of a million voices,
Picks
only
one.
has one con voice.
Oh my God, they know.
The jig is finally up.
But yeah, it's great to see and I loved you being able to, especially when you were in Ireland and stuff like that, and you get to see that it's not just like in pockets, but it's literally a global thing that people are really, this is something that they're really hip on. Even before the game came out, they were
Yeah,
like
that was the craziest thing, was seeing cosplayers, and I don't know, I think we were like PAX East or PAX West, and way before the game came out, like years. And people were just starting to see images of Liz and dressing up all over the world around, like her, and it was just so crazy. Like, I remember telling them, but they don't even know what she's like. They could hate her. Like, we don't know.
I can't believe I wore that stupid Burn all the photos, burn all the cosplay.
But yeah, it's pretty wild, man. I love it.
So you're telling Courtney all this. She doesn't believe it. You know. You've been in this video game business for a while. What was it like being on that side of it then? You already knew, number one, this is a franchise everybody loves. Right. Number two, now I'm going to come in and be the main character, the main playable character, and I'm going to speak. That wasn't something we knew.
That was a huge challenge, and Court felt that way about Elizabeth. She's like, oh my God, what if people don't like her? I'm like, oh my God, they are going to just... Because that was one of the cool things about BioShock 1 is that he never spoke. And you had these wonderful speeches that were coming through Andrew Ryan, and so we're really going to rock the boat with this. And I went on record a couple times saying, the first-person protagonist just doesn't speak, and that's not true. Clearly, we've had that in other games before, but for something that is this narrative-driven, that's going to have this much dialogue, like if you look, BioShock 1, the entire length of BioShock 1, the boardwalk portion of Infinite was bigger. And it was like before they ever got on the airship, you would have been like credits on BioShock 1. And that was insane. I'm like, oh my God. So she was like, I don't wonder if people are going to like Liz. I'm like, they're going to hate me. Oh God, they're going to hate me. And it was really cool because Ken was aware of that as well. So he's like, okay, so let's make sure that if we ever say anything, it's purposeful, it's small, and it's not overbearing. Like, I wonder if I should go over and check out what's in that trash can. Yep, it's a banana. I'm going to eat it. Whenever Booker spoke, it was always, it should have been something that reflected what the player was thinking. You'd pick up like, Bronco, Bunkin, I can't even talk.
Bucking.
Take two. Buck and Bronco. That'll come in handy. That's it. Shut up. Psh, what? Nothing else. Never like, this is what I'm thinking. Just walking along. Warm today. We didn't want to do anything like that, so...
I think it was important. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
You're fine.
I think it was really important to just make sure that we weren't forcing anything upon the gamer, and just make sure that like everything you guys were feeling as you were playing the game, we just didn't want to force emotions, and we wanted everything to feel organic. And
we just forced the ending on you.
Right.
Well, I kid. That's true.
But yeah, so I think even with Liz too, I remember we were always cutting her lines down as much as we could to just make sure that. I don't know, it was just short and concise and to the point, and you guys could really just be filling in the gaps as you wanted and having your own experience so that every gamer that played the game could have a different experience and feel like they were making all these choices and decisions, and that was something that was really important for us to keep in mind.
I think most lines started this long and then they ended up becoming like just a breath, just something that, can you encapsulate this is what I'm thinking or this is what the intention is with. It's like, that's cool when you can do that. That's really flexing some acting muscles. And that's not being a good voice actor. That's just an actor. That's being able to concisely convey a thought. And it's a real big challenge. And I'm glad that Kim was open to stuff like that.
You both talked about, concerns of, I hope people like my character, blah, blah, but you understood where Ken was going. In all that time, we made the jokes about the delays and everything else in this process. Did either of you worry that this project was off track and it wasn't going to hit the point? And I'm talking from just gameplay mechanics, storyline. This is too confusing. Lutece twins, who would believe this?
Yeah. I mean, Lutece was originally one character. It was never going to be the twins. And I think it was a really, really smart move that Ken made to go, wait a minute, I wanted it to be David Bowie. I really did. I'm not going to lie, I was like Jareth the Goblin King. I mean, David Bowie as Lutece. Clearly, we would have to record together, and he'd come out like this, and it'd be great. I would just be amazing. But then, what I love is that that's me having an idiot idea, and Ken being able to look past that and say, this is what the game needs. And it had to go through this rocky process of, oh my God, I don't know what we're doing. This game is going to be terrible. We're never going to ship it. Wait a minute, what if we did this? This could actually work. Oh my God, this is great. This is what it should have been the entire time. Okay, we're back on track. That was the assembly line of it. It was, the wheels are falling off. What are we doing with our lives? And, okay, get back inside. Don't jump from the 5th floor. Stuff like that. And and then you go, oh, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. The game doesn't make itself, but there was a quote that I saw recently, I don't know who it was from, is like, a delayed game will eventually be good. A bad game or rushed game will be bad forever. And it's like, well, I don't care how long it's going to take. It's like, it should have been out in October. Well, you know what? But the difference between October and whenever it actually comes out, you can live life and you can be okay. And then it comes out, and then people are still going to eviscerate it and still say, well, it didn't live up to expectations. Shut up. It's amazing. Any game that comes out is amazing. It is ones and zeros that are translated into Jesus particles. It's amazing. It's incredible what we're doing. The graphics aren't that great. Shut up.
You have a future as PR for The Last Guardian if you ever want.
Absolutely. I remember when they made their first E3 announcement. And I'm excited it's going to be on the PS20. That's that guy in 40 years. Again,
just let him go. Just let him go. He didn't mean it. Courtney, I guess as big as a big deal as this Troy Baker is, BioShock Infinite is really your game. You know, it's really Elizabeth's story, especially with the DLC coming together to complete that package. How many notebooks did it take of just madman scribbling for you to understand this story and who you were at any given moment?
I thought he was talking about the Ryan movie, the Notebook. Sorry.
Well, that's a dynamite film that I will talk about if you want.
No, I remember when we first heard the ending. And we were getting bits and pieces. I mean, Ken never said, this is the direction I don't even know if he knew where he was going. So every time we would go out to Boston, we would say, like, give me another secret. And he would take us aside.
He would tell you stuff that he wouldn't tell me, too. He's like...
Because I would bug the shit out of him. I'm like, give me more. And, so he would always, like, give little tidbits of information. And that's kind of how we figured out who our characters were. And it wasn't until I played through the game that I really saw, all this stuff made it, and some stuff got cut, and this is how she came together in the end. Because it's also about, like, the girl who was doing the mocap for her and all of her facial expressions and all of that coming together that adds all these little layered nuances and creates the character. And the first time we heard the ending, I remember, like, looking at Troy and then looking at Ken and then looking at Troy, and we were like, what? Like, what had happened? And it's something that connects in my mind, but it's something that I still can't articulate that well to other people, because it's such a mind expletive or something. Yeah.
The Animaniacs were in here cursing like 2 seconds ago. You're able to do whatever you want.
But that's cool.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's pretty crazy. I mean, just piecing all the story together, and when he told us how the second DLC was going to end, my mind was so blown. And I was like, that is so awesome to piece everything together. And I don't know, to have Elizabeth be the character that kicks off everything that happens in BioShock is really amazing. And it's such an honor to be able to play her.
It was something as a fanboy, I greatly appreciate it, because it's sometimes, especially as we were doing it, I was like, but it's not I want to bring it back to BioShock, because this feels like such a different game. And yeah, we have, plasmids, Vigors, and, we have, different things that make it a BioShock game, but I wanted the creepiness, and I wanted to know about Rapture. I wanted to know what happened, and I love the dichotomy of it. Like, one is under the sea, this is in the sky, and like how there's polar opposites, and how that was implemented so well in the game between the bird in the cage or out of the cage, and just how everything has a duality in nature. But when I heard the DLC, I was like, people are going to lose their minds, because this is the tangible connective tissue that bridges these two universes together, and how wonderfully that was done. And it was smaller, which means that it was more easily executable, which means you could really do what you wanted to do with it. And if you haven't played the DLC yet, it is so good. It's so good. It's so creepy. Has anybody read the book, the BioShock book? Dude, that whole like Philip K. Dick super noir story that it has, if you you can either read the book and then, if you haven't read the book, and then play the DLC or vice versa. And it's just kind of cool to see because the two really align a lot. But anyway, yeah, it's great. I yield my remaining time to the floor.
I don't know if the cosplayers ever came. Oh, there. Okay. So I want to make sure we're going to have plenty of time for questions. So I want to start. If there's a microphone somewhere in the audience, somewhere standing. I want you to start
I
lining
have
up.
one question.
One question.
I see someone running.
Start lining up here, I guess. I think I see movement at the security table. Oh, there comes the microphone. Oh, this is real now.
What's great is literally everybody beyond the first row could have left halfway through, and we would not have known because we're staring out into a black
You look up,
void.
you're like, oh, nope, everybody's gone.
I want to thank so much for everybody being here, and it's like 6 people.
Yay!
So here's a question for both of you.
Okay.
Not all about BioShock.
All right.
More about Ken Irrational Games. When the whole reason that people look forward to BioShock, and I think the reason everybody loves Ken so much, right, is the fact that he tells these stories, right? These incredibly turn you on your ear at the end, you're like, kind of things. They recently, restructured Irrational. Ken put out this statement about, we're going to try to make these smaller games that are more narrative focused. Did that surprise you, or was that, on the outside, only knowing Ken through all this other stuff, I was like, that kind of makes sense, right? Like BioShock Infinite was this game that took a long time to get out and tell the story. But if he can get together with a smaller team, make smaller games, it makes sense.
I had no idea it was happening. I was definitely, I knew from the same letter that was on the website like everyone else. So that was definitely surprising to me. But I think the biggest thing that I know about Ken is he's a genius, and I have to trust him. Not have to trust him. I trust him in everything that he does. And I think he knows what he's doing, and he has a very, very strong vision, and he has a passion for games and a passion for driving games forward, and he doesn't want to do the same game again. That's why he took all these risks with Infinite, because he wanted something different. And I know there was backlash about, it's in the sky and it's not going to be the same game, but that was the whole point. He didn't want to make the same game. He wanted to push boundaries, and I think that I trust that whatever he's doing is going to be fantastic, because his mind is terrifyingly creative, and I just think he's one of the bravest people I've ever met, to just keep pushing forward even when people were saying this isn't going to work, Liz isn't going to work, the narrative's not going to work, Booker's not going to work, whatever it was, and he just kept pushing. Whatever he does is going to be really amazing, and I really hope he calls me and has me in. Selfishly.
Well, I will say this in response to that. My first response was, what? And then it was like, well, it kind of made sense. Because people forget that BioShock Infinite wasn't Ken Levine's first game. BioShock 1 wasn't Ken Levine's first game. I don't know how many people in this room have done the same thing for 20 years and have gone through that process over and over and over again. And understand this. We're very critical about the games that come out. We want it to be, like I've always said, Jesus backflipping over ninjas. Or it's not amazing and the DualShock better work just right, But it is a machine that can chew you up and spit you out. And it's really interesting that people like Steven Soderbergh, who have made countless movies and really successful movies, are like, I'm done with film. I'm going to go do theater. I want to do that now. Because I've forgotten what I originally fell in love with making. And I think that this isn't a retreat from Ken. This is what I think. I don't know. I know that BioShock cost him a lot. Not money, but really currency. It cost him. And so I don't think this is a retreat as much as it is a vision quest, him going back out into the wilderness to rediscover his love for making games. And sometimes that means going back to the start and making it a smaller shift where you are the designer and the writer and the coder and the programmer and doing the environments and doing everything, having a small team around you and go, remember when we did this and it was fun? So maybe that's what it is. But I agree with Courtnee. He's not an idiot, and he loves making games. As much as we love games, all combined in this room, that would be a drop in the bucket to how much Ken loves games. I really hope that we do see something from him quickly. Or if it's delayed, that'll just mean that it's good.
You'll get out there and stump for him, too.
Yeah.
He has to delay the next game. All right, crowd, let's go. It seems like only, a few million people lined up.
Make it a good one.
I feel bad we can't see you.
You want to turn up the house light? There they go a little bit.
No,
Look
I
at
kind of
this.
want to envision.
Now we get to see everybody.
I thought they were over there. We're like, go ahead and ask your question.
Please.
Yes, thank you. In the course of making BioShock Infinite, of course, you ended up cutting enough content to make like 3 or 4 separate games. So I have to ask, despite being fed only little bits and pieces, is there anything that you were so... What was the worst thing to have to cut out? Unless it's covered by an NDA, in which case I have to wonder, do exertion palettes...
Yes, covered by NDA, we can't talk about it.
We are all friends here. We can turn off the camera for a second and violate your NDAs.
I wish that the reason why there were so many levels that ended up getting cut, but there were. I wish the explanation of why Columbia was in the sky was. It was originally supposed to be a way bigger part of. It wasn't supposed to be just like a voxophone that you found. It was supposed to be like really big, and how that came through. And I wish that would have been more clear, because I think it was just such an ingenious conceit that it was because it was continually going back in time to the second that it wasn't falling. Does anybody get that? Does anybody understand that? Okay, cool. If you like went around, you could parse that information out. But I don't know about like big things that were cut. There's a lot of stuff with Lady Comstock that got cut.
Yeah. And then I can't even remember, because it was just in one ear and out the other, and I didn't even realize what I missed when I played the game, because there were so many ideas over such a large span of time that I'm still trying to piece it together, I guess. I can't really remember anything vividly.
There's nothing specific that stands out, which I think is something that's a true testament, because if we're not missing it, then maybe it wasn't supposed to be in the beginning. You know, there's never anything that was like, oh, this would have been the best level ever.
Hole or anything.
It was true fat that got trimmed away. But it's a great question.
Thank you.
Sure. Next. Now serving number 2. Give me a half pound of the... No. 6 people got that joke.
It's like you're at a deli counter.
Yeah. That's 5, 7, whichever way we can go down. Weird.
All right, so I had a question about this glitch that I encountered in the BioShock Infinite DLC, and and the reason why I'm asking you guys and not the programmers is it had to do with the voice acting. It lowered the pitch of Elizabeth's voice and then Booker's voice to almost like a deep, like really deep voice, and like. And I have it on video, but I don't know. I just was wondering, like, how... It was like during the lock-picking thing, like when Elizabeth was like, I got this. And like... and then Booker's like, that seemed to work. Like, I don't know. It's just really low pitch. Like, do you have any idea how that could have happened?
No,
like, you guys didn't record it that way, I'm guessing. Okay.
It was a choice.
Actually, I think when we were recording that, we were both hitting puberty, and that's what happened. We're like, whoops, well, I guess that's staying in.
And then I had one more question about Elizabeth, like, in the DLC, I hope no spoilers, but, like, has this moment where she's like, I really miss you, Booker. And I don't know, I wanted you to, like, maybe go into that a little bit more, like, what that meant for you.
Yeah, at first I didn't understand, because she was so vengeful in the second one, and he hurt her so much and betrayed her, and I didn't understand that, why she would feel so connected. And then the more I thought about it, I realized, well, it's just human nature, right? I mean, especially with spoiler alert.
It's just one person in the back, and they can go to hell.
I know we're going to hear it. You know, especially with our parents. It's like, no matter how much, I don't know, you have issues with your parents, and some people have pretty trying relationships, and at the end they're still your parents, and like no matter how much you hate them sometimes and they hurt you, when they're not there, there's a piece of you that's missing. And I think that's what my interpretation of why she says that is, because it was still family, and it was the closest human connection that she's ever had. So yeah, I think that's what I ultimately kind of made the choice for her, but I guess it's open to interpretation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great question.
Hey.
Hi.
Normally I would wait for your autograph session, but because of what this is, would the two of you please sign my skyhook?
A sky.
We can't do it here because girl, you want these people to riot? I want you to sign my. Can we please say that for the autograph session? I'm so sorry. We have to do that. We can't do that for everybody else. We'll make sure you get taken care of, though. Promise. No.
You'll get taken care
Totally
of,
kidding.
all right.
Mate, I'm just saying, God forbid bad things happen. You know, there's a problem with the brakes. No, I want to make because I really appreciate you have that skyhook, and I would be honored to sign that. Yeah, let's make sure that she gets taken care of.
The woman with the
Oh, we got a thumbs up from the handler on the side. You're taken care of. Don't worry.
There you go. Got the thumbs up.
All right, hey. First, I wanted to say, Courtney, that you did an excellent job with Elizabeth, and
Thank you.
loved her the whole time, except
Except
now,
when.
Now, this has nothing to do with you, and I think we can all relate to this. When you walk into a
Now
room,
I'm getting involved. No, what's up?
when you walk into a room, you know, like normal in BioShock, looking for pineapples and cash registers.
As one does.
Yeah.
In trash
And then
cans.
you turn around to see what Elizabeth is doing in that room, and then you see that horrifying view of her standing in the doorway, and you realize, I'm going to die in this room, because there's no way to get out. But yeah, overall, she was amazing, just besides that. But my question was, since you guys are so close to, the development and everything, do you guys know anything about the songs that were played in Colombia, like all the remakes of all the new songs?
Like the
and the old
barbershop
time?
quartet,
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that?
They never got released or anything, so...
I mean,
I thought they did release the soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack, but not with those songs.
Collector's edition download code.
But that was, are you saying this, because honestly I didn't do it, was it just the score, or were those
Yeah, it
songs
was just
not
the
on there?
score.
My guess would be licensing.
yeah,
Dang.
probably.
Just a
They
separate
probably
thing.
can get the rights to sell it.
Do you think they'd ever be able to?
Not that I would ever condone not giving 2K money and stuff, but there
Not
are-
even 2K, but it's like, you'd be
people
giving
who
money to
own the
like
rights to
Brian
the
Wilson.
songs.
for the
Sure,
Beach
sure.
Boys
But, I mean,
and
there
stuff.
are various services on the interweb that you can find those MP3s at quite easily. Quite easily. Not that I'm saying to do that. Also, don't trade in your games. Buy new. Go developers.
Picking up on the sarcasm, Miller.
All right. Thank you very much for
got it.
You're
taking
welcome.
this game into your hands and just making it awesome.
Thank you.
To piggyback off that, though, those songs were awesome.
They were fantastic.
cool.
God Only Knows is one of my favorite
Right?
Beach Boys song anyway, and it's just like, to hear it in that way too.
It
It's
just
great.
gave so much life to the city when you're wandering around and you're exploring, and it's just that kind of it just added such a deep level of character. I love
Well,
that.
for me, I mean, whenever you play a BioShock game or a Ken game, right, you always have that usual suspects moment where you drop the coffee cup and you're like, holy shit. And, like, that was the thing, right, of, like, when those songs started coming out and trailers, like, that's weird, that wasn't even made yet, how would they know that? But you didn't, like, go into, she's opening their talkers, and that's why plasmids are just like, it was good.
It was good.
I like that game. Next.
Hi. I was wondering, going into this, you knew it was going to be a very great game, but you were worried about your characters. At what point during the process of making the game did you go, this game is going to blow people's minds?
When I played it on the day that it came out, that's the moment. Honestly, I remember the midnight launch. I was like, I bought my own copy because I didn't want to wait for them to send it. And I played it. And that it was the moment. Because the thing is, the whole point is to make an amazing, incredible experience for the gamer. And you don't know what that's going to be like until you're the gamer sitting down and playing the game. And that was the moment that I really was like, yeah, it came together and it worked. And for me, anyway, I'm sure minds out there will differ. I'll kill you. Yeah.
Yeah, everything is hypothetical up to the point that it's actually practical, to be actually sitting down and playing it. I knew that Ken knew how to make a game. I knew that the team that he had of writers and the designers and everybody that was involved were bleeding for this game. Mm-hmm. And the conceit was so good, and the history was so good that you question. I was like, are we going to be able to? I know the game that we could make is going to be phenomenal. Are we going to be able to? Yeah, can we just get to that point? And the answer was yes. But it's just you constantly doubt, can we climb that mountain, because that's where we have to go. But she's right. The proof is in the pudding when people started playing it, and all the reviews started coming in, and not just from people like Greg
IGN.com for all your news and reviews.
But when it was coming from people boots on the ground, they were actually playing it, going, "I'm crying. This is amazing.
Yeah.
What a great! My mind's blown."
Just the response on Twitter alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't join Twitter until the midnight launch, actually, because people were like, "You're crazy. You need a Twitter," and I could see that connection with fans and people saying, there's the visceral reactions and just people being so vulnerable and open about how the response, the emotional reaction that they had when they were playing the game. And it's just so cool, man, because you just hope when you're creating art that you're creating something that connects with people, and to have it connect on such a deep, deep level, it's like the best thing you could ask for. It's so wonderful. That's why I like doing cons and interacting with fans on Twitter, because we made the game for you guys. And it's really cool that it was something to be really proud of, and that worked. I'm like crying.
Okay, time to lighten the mood.
Ridiculous. Hi.
Hi. I'm the Shadow of the Colossus guy.
Yeah!
Oh, hello! Hi there!
Let me speak to you in our own language.
Hey! Oh, how are you doing? Well, Miss Draper could tell you what's coming. I already made this request of her in the previous Women in Voice Acting panel. It's nothing dirty. Get your minds out of the gutter right now.
Genuinely afraid right now.
He's got to get through Courtney first.
I already did it. I know what's up.
So, my friend Meg, she is starting college in... Okay, seriously, can I stop talking like this, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. But she is starting college once the summer is over. She's majoring in biology, and I promised her that I would make a montage of the different voice actors wishing her luck. So,
okay.
Yes.
So you're gonna need a montage.
Montage!
Meg is her name?
Yes, it is.
Good luck, Meg.
Sweet! Thank you so much. Oh, actually, I do have one question. How does Travis Willingham keep jacking your Twitter account?
Dude, you become a man when you get willing blamed. Billy Harper got him, though. Did you see that? If you look at Travis Willingham, got his Just Desserts. A little bit of Twitter fun. Yeah, if you follow me on Twitter or whatever, and if Travis and I are ever working together, I'm an idiot. I do it every time. I leave my phone or my iPad unsupervised, and Travis hacks into it, and you will have about 30 minutes of pure joy, because that's how long it takes for me to realize what he's done. It's terrible. It's terrible. Terrible. At Willing Blam.
Here's to a long and prosperous career for both of you.
Hey, thanks, man.
Cheers. Oh, don't applaud.
What did he do to Billy Harper? He just got him? Or what did Billy Harper do?
Billy Harper just got him, and he got to an embarrassing tweet rant. Got like 3 or 4 before Travis figured it out. It was great. I'm not going to tell you how Billy Harper gained access to Travis's phone.
Everybody knows Billy Harper worked on Infamous Second Son, of course.
Yes, Sucker Punch.
Travis.
Sucker Punch Prod.
Troy were there.
At Sucker Punch Prod on Twitter. There you go. Hi, cat ears.
They're sunglasses.
Not to you. Not to me. They're whatever I want them to be.
They can be whatever you want to be.
They're a unicorn.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for being a part of BioShock Infinite and just bringing life to the characters, because you made Booker who he is, I feel, and Courtney, you really made Elizabeth who she is, and I just, I don't think the game would have been nearly as successful without you guys behind it.
Thank you.
Oh. And secondly, obviously, without any spoilers, BioShock took a lot of twists and turns. BioShock Infinite took a lot of twists and turns, and it was just a crazy train the whole entire time. Do you think that, if you were the mind behind it, is there anything that you would have wanted to change, really?
I wouldn't even give myself the pat on the back to be able to think of anything. I mean, I feel like the game is exactly what it should have been. I don't know.
Yeah, you ever see that episode of I Love Lucy when they're working in the cake factory? That's what it would have looked like had I any influence in that at all. I don't know.
Troy, don't eat the computer.
It's broken. There's nothing that I would have changed. I think what we put out, it was the game that we. Of course, there's things that just you can't do yet. But no, I wouldn't want to change anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I actually have 2 questions.
Oh God, here we go.
All right. And I'm also going to spoil the end for that one guy in the back.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. You're a good man.
All right, so we all know at the end that Booker decides that he's not going to be the Booker that looks for Elizabeth or
That was awesome.
or the Booker that
This panel is full.
or the Booker that discovers Columbia. He chooses to not give up Elizabeth at all, therefore Elizabeth being Anna. So with Booker now having Anna as his daughter, and that is Elizabeth like a type of god because she still exists while all the other alternate dimension Elizabeths disappear at the end.
Well,
Because there's one Booker that escaped.
I was going to say, I think it's interesting that you refer to her as like a deity or whatever, because that whole line about, are you afraid of God?
Right.
No, but I am afraid of you. I thought that was a cool line.
Radio silence.
I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I kind of just interpret it as, I don't think she's a god per se. I just saw it as one Comstock that escaped. And that's the reason there's a version of Elizabeth that still exists. And yeah, I mean, that's how I interpreted it. But
I mean, you have, and in some ways you have omnipotence, you have omniscience, omnipresence. You can look at things fourth dimensionally. You know the beginning, the end, and the middle.
yeah, I guess I
Kinda
never
interesting.
thought of her that way.
Maybe like a demigod. Like,
Yeah,
like
I mean, no, if we're
the
gonna do God,
just
like,
like a
let's
God.
really do it. I don't want to be a demigod, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of shit is that?
I don't know how to read.
Just kidding.
Someone just threw up a sign. I don't know how to read.
No, I don't know. I guess I never thought of her that way. I've never been asked that before.
I can't wait to see what
I
his
don't know. I'd have
second
to
question
marinate on
is.
that. You have to what?
I can't wait to see what his second question is. We're
Oh,
having
yeah,
this
yeah,
like
whoa.
theological debate about
Now
it
that
now.
you stumped us, what?
The other question is actually for Troy.
Oh God.
Oh, good. His questions are hard.
So my
Blue.
question is, what do you think ever happened to Booker's wife? Did she die? Did she run away because he was a drunk and a gambler?
Yeah, we went through this a little bit, and again, it kind of goes back to a little bit of the backstory's masturbatory thing. Of like, does it really matter? I would think that my original thing was, well, this is important that we nail this down because I need to know that would be a monumental moment in your life. And Ken said, well, which do you think is more important, the fact that he lost his wife or that he lost his daughter? Which is more an interesting character choice? I was like, So it really kind of fell away as far as what the reason why. All we know is that that's like a chapter in his life that we just don't talk about, kind of thing. It happened, that's where it is, and that's where it stays. But I think it is an interesting thing for you guys to explore, like for the player to explore, is go, I wonder why. I'm some of the fan fiction. I'm really excited to see, you know what I mean? Because again, it's the same thing with BioShock. That's why I think Star Wars is one of the greatest franchises ever, is because it afforded itself so much in extrapolation, and there's so much that has grown because of it. And I think that BioShock is equally as good in the sense that you could really just obsess over one specific detail and be able to have plethora of media outlets for that, whether it be a graphic novel or another game or a movie or a show, whatever. And I think that's the true testament to telling a good story. So I don't know. I'd be curious to see like your perspective on that as far as what happened to his wife.
Thank you.
Thank you. really smart guy.
I told you it was hard.
A little too smart.
Well, hey.
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 What's up? Chilling.
All right. I got a quick request and then a quick question. The line you said, the one where you're like, "Are you afraid of God?" No, but I'm afraid of you. Could you do that real quick, just for my Instagram?
Didn't we?
Could you do that?
Is it on video?
Yeah.
Sure, go for it.
All right.
Booker, are you afraid of
Wait.
Oh.
Whoa!
Sorry.
He's only got 15 seconds.
All right, ready? Hang on.
I was acting, okay?
Ready? Sorry to cut you
do
off.
this in less than 6 seconds too, because Vine just freaks out if you don't.
All right. Ready? Go.
Booker, are you afraid of God?
Yep.
Well said. All right.
That was an alternate version.
Yeah.
All right. What's your question?
All right. And for a long time, well, not really for a long time, but there have been rumors running around. If they were going to make a BioShock movie, who would you want directing it?
Oh.
Oh, I can tell you my casting choices.
Go ahead.
Courtnee Draper as Elizabeth, and
I'd really like to look at that. I mean, Fincher would be great.
Okay.
Somebody like that to really understand like the
elevate it.
the ethos of it, you know. Huh?
M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan.
What a twist!
What?
It has twists. Of course I have to direct. Yeah, that would be the ending of humanity. And watch, it's going to come out in Variety or Hollywood Reporter tomorrow. M. Night Shyamalan attached to BioShock movie. It's like, no, I'm joking. Don't go off. I don't know who I'd want to direct. Fincher would be good. I don't know, man. I don't know. He's kind of burned me on that last one a little bit. I mean, he could do the big epic thing clearly with Noah, but woof, did not like that movie at all. Sorry.
Noah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Noah and God.
So yeah, sorry Noah. We were walking out and a friend of mine goes, "It should have been Noah. It should have been no." So anyway, I don't know. I'd really have to think about that. Or like Roland Emmerich would be cool too, just for the scope of it.
3 words: Michael fucking Bay.
Let's hope TMNT isn't that bad.
10 seconds into the movie, everything would just start exploding for no reason. Just like,
Elizabeth, do you have a preference?
I think I've never thought about it. I guess David Fincher. I think he's really good. I think he's doing really just really interesting visually.
Coen Brothers. That would be cool. That would be cool.
Oh, Big Daddy, where art thou? Thank you.
Time for a few more.
Yeah, we're in
Yeah.
our final 5, so try to go speed round if you can.
Hi, my question is specifically for Troy Baker.
Oh God.
So what's
Did that other guy send you up? Or?
So what's experience like being from Booker in BioShock rather than to be I don't know, Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid 5?
Everything is different, man, and you have to look at it that way. You can't say, "Oh, I'm going to do the exact same thing for this as I did in this." Otherwise, you just fall into this formula, and how soulless is that, right?
Right.
Fortunately, I was able to do BioShock, which was such a growing experience and learning experience for me that it gave me more tools, I think, to go in and do something like MGS, because tackling a role like that is huge. You're not building a character from the ground up, because clearly Ocelot's been in, a few games. But it was great to be able to, again, bring it back and scale everything down, because he's not the same Ocelot that we've seen in other games. So understanding the simplicity that can still come across as complex. Oh no, I'm really getting into it. But no, it's just 2 totally different experiences, and that's how I looked at it. But I'm jazzed for that game. It's going to be really good.
Thank you.
Huge. It's a huge game. Like, scope. It's huge.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're pretty good.
Just want to say, BioShock Infinite, I just want to thank you for making the game. because it helped me through a really hard part of my life. I didn't have internet for a week. It was rough. It was really rough, but thank God for offline mode on Steam.
You're a brave soldier.
Thank you.
Brave man.
It means a lot, Troy.
So glad
Means
we
a
were able
lot.
to help you with that.
So
You're the final question, so make it good and short.
Give me just a minute.
Sorry, guys. Thank you.
So during the production of the game, there's videos of you and Ken Levine yelling at Courtney to create a emotional response. Could you tell us about that?
You just did.
Okay. Well, could you give us more details about that?
I mean, that was something that a lot of actors do. We improv, like what he was saying about the backstory, and you kind of just lead into this scene. And I mean, we had just gotten off a flight. I was sick. I was so emotionally exhausted from screaming and crying for 4 hours already. And I mean, I guess we didn't realize I didn't realize that people would think it was so strange. I guess that's just what actors do.
Oh God, it's the most awkward thing to watch because again, the size of the booth that we were in, we were closer than this.
Tiny.
It wasn't like a big booth at all. So you're already on the spot because you haven't gotten the gig yet. You don't know.
Yeah, that was in my callback, so I was not cast yet.
So she's really under the gun, and it was. In some ways, a lot of the anger that you see is like, I'm mad at the situation too. I'm like mad at Ken. And there's one point in the video, if you watch, I tell Ken to shut up because he starts yelling at you. I was like, shut up! And I go into her.
She's got this, you know.
Yeah, she's got this. Shut up. But yeah, to me, that whole situation is a test of or a testament to Courtney's willingness and ability to just literally get beat up and come out sweating. Literally,
Yeah.
we all did. It was very warm in there, and not back down to a challenge and be up to it. And it's great. I think that actually that's the one that was in the game, which was pretty interesting. So sometimes you just go back to the original. But yeah, it was that set the pace and the tone for what we were going to do. We're just going to be screaming at each other a lot for the next 3 years.
Oh, and could you do your reaction when you found out that your character was actually Comstock? Spoiler alert.
Oh my God! What?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to the BioShock.
Thank you guys so much.
They're going to be signing. Go see them. Troy will be back tomorrow with the Last of Us panel.
Yeah. Thank you guys.